Hi guys, welcome back to At Home with Holly. My name's Holly. I'm so glad that you're here with me today. I am gathering our supplies because we are headed outside to do some work. So I've got a 5-gallon bucket. I've got some fertilizer. I've got lettuce seeds. I've got bush bean seeds. I have gloves, a little weed puller. I have some bags to tie up the melons, some twist ties. I've got some tomato clips and pruners, and I have 2 big bowls because the goal today is to be able to get to harvest carrots, tie up melons, prune some tomatoes, plant some green beans and lettuce, and to beat the heat to do it. So it's like one of the most humid days of the year. It's like 90% humidity. It's still mid-morning, so I'd like to try to get all this done before lunchtime. So I'm going to take you guys with me, and also I want to take you guys with me what I've been doing the last few weeks in terms of garden maintenance projects. So we processed our turkeys, and so then I went ahead and did some modifications to the turkey tractor to make it into a chicken tractor. I guess it's both. So I added some automatic waters and some feeding troughs, and I want to show you guys that. I want to just show you guys what's been going on and then take you with me today. I'm so glad that you're here. Let's get started. So if you guys have been with me for a while, you know that I love using the Geo compost bins. They have good airflow, they're easily movable, all that kind of stuff, and they break stuff down really well. Well, I had this idea to have a permanent compost bin system and use the Geo bin to kind of make the panels. So I enlisted the help of my neighbors, Beth and Mark, who were always helping each other with projects, and we dug some holes, and I found these old 4x4s at Beth and Mark's. And so we went ahead and got these concreted in the holes. We went ahead and made sure it was square. We did our strings and made sure it was square. And we actually put 8 posts in the ground. And this is going to make a 3-bay compost system. And so we went ahead and got those posts concreted in and left them a little tall. And then once we got them concreted in, I took some more scrap wood that we had at Beth and Mark's, and I took the Geo bin, like the plastic that makes the Geo bin, because it's meant to be outside. It's meant to be able to hold up to the UV rays and all that kind of stuff. So I went ahead and made a 3-bay compost bin system with removable. The outsides, they're on hinges, so you can open up and shovel it out. The insides will be removable panels that I can slide them up and shovel it from side to side. So this is after I have the solid wall that goes across the back of the compost bin. And then I kind of worked on it over the next few weeks, where whenever I had time, I'd make just one panel at a time and kind of get it in and get it attached. So this project ended up turning out really well. So this is me you can see it after I added the end panel, and I'm not worried about the color of the wood or any of that stuff. It's just going to be a scrap, where we just used all the scrap. And I ended up scraping off as much as I could, and then some of it just peeled off, and so I wasn't really worried about it. So this is when we added the end. So the ends and the back are solid, and then the 2 inside panels are actually removable. So I put a little handle up on the top so that I could slide them in and out whenever I want to. You can see right there, it's got the handle on it. And then the 3 outside or front doors are actually, like I said, on hinges, but then I screwed them shut so that they stay solid, and I can just keep adding stuff in, and then I can just take out 2 screws and the door will open up like a door, and so that I can get in there and remove the panels and move them side to side. So I'm super happy with how this turned out. I love the location, and I probably will end up staining the wood or doing something to make it a little more aesthetically pleasing. But honestly, since it's just a compost bin, I'm super happy with the way it turned out. I love the fact that it's right next to the chicken coop and right next to the garden. And so I can throw stuff in and remove compost, and everything is right where I need it to be. So I modified this a little bit. I added 2 trough feeders. I added an automatic watering cup system, and I can change those to the nipples if I don't like the cups, or if I think the cups are leaking too much or whatever. And I also added, overflowing. Overflowing. I also added these struts to help hold the lid up when I move them. And now it is ready for chickens. So this was our group of chickens that we got the day that they arrived, and this was 3 weeks ago, and it's time for them to move outside. So I loaded them up into this little bin, put the bin inside the gorilla cart, grabbed a fan, and moved them to their new home. So this is why I only have to grow zucchini every few years, because without doubt, there'll be some that I miss. It'll get huge, and I can cut out the middles and shred that down and vacuum pack it and have plenty for zucchini muffins for the next year, 18 months or so. Let me get the rest of this cleaned up. That's how much I've cut off so far to find these. Okay, so this is what the corn looks like. Now, this is not from the wind. This is from some kind of animal who came in, knocked it over, and ate the corn. So I'm gonna harvest everything that's left. And here is the after. It's not perfectly cleaned out. I still have to take out some of the blackberries that are starting to grow back, but got all the corn out. Have it in this pile. I'm gonna go ahead and run the lawnmower over it to mulch it up, and then I'll add it plus all the weeds I pulled to the compost bin. So the corn was definitely a loss, but I decided to make up for it. I would harvest some peppers, and our peppers have been doing beautifully. I am doing this every few days where I'm coming out and harvesting all of the sweet bell peppers that are ready and the jalapenos that are ready. So we have had an amazing pepper year. So this is just a little bit of a pick-me-up after the corn fail. And that's okay, because corn is one of the, more inexpensive things that I could buy from a local farmer and still be able to put up enough for a year. So definitely annoying and frustrating that I don't really know what it was that ate it. I do have cameras in my backyard, but they weren't positioned to see into the corn bed, so I wasn't able to see what did the damage, but that's okay, because we were able to get all these wonderful peppers, and we've had an amazing year with other crops. So definitely frustrating when something like that happens, but that's what gardening is. We win some, we lose some, we learn, and we get better every year. Another thing that wasn't amazing this year was, I had a whole bed of elephant garlic that rotted, and then my other bed of regular garlic was amazing though. So you win some, you lose some. And then I also have had not a stellar onion crop this year. You can see a little bit in this video. They're they're just kind of looking like they almost have like a fungus, or I'm not sure. And so the bulbs themselves are fine and they're edible, but the green tops were not. Oh, that watermelon looks great though. The green tops were not as luscious and amazing as they were. You can see a better clip of that right here. So every year we just get better and better, and we learn something new, and sometimes the crops themselves don't do that great, and that's how we get better. Okay, y'all, it's hot. We just got out here. I've got my bucket filled with supplies and my big bowls. It is very hot already. So we will see what we can get done today. We might split it up over a couple days, and that's okay. So let's go ahead and decide where we'd like to get started. Okay, I think the first thing we're gonna do is pull out the zucchini plant. Let me grab my gloves. Let's pull out the zucchini plant because the zucchini bugs it's done. The zucchini bugs have found it, they've eaten it, they've laid their eggs on it. So let's go ahead and rip this out. And then we'll get this bed, it's right here in the chicken bed. We'll get this plant ripped out, and I've got some soil to top dress it with, and then we'll plant some beans and lettuce and stuff in here and get this thing going. Now, this plant is covered in squash bugs and ants that are biting me and all kinds of stuff. So I think I'm going to rip this out and put it into the chicken coop and let the chickens, ouch, as I'm getting bitten up, let the chickens have their way with this. Lots of squash bugs. Not my favorite bug to touch, but here we are. All right, one bed done. Let's get our supplies for our next bed, which I think, stand here under the umbrella for a minute while we think about it. So I think the next bed should be the bed that was the corn bed. And we'll just go ahead and top that off, and then I think I want to plant that with beans and I was gonna say beans and lettuce, but I think I want to do beans and then I'll do lettuce when we remove the carrots. Then there will be the carrots right now are underneath the tomatoes. And as soon as we harvest all those carrots, right underneath the tomatoes would be a great place to direct seed some lettuce, because it'll get sun, but it'll stay shaded, and that'll help so that it doesn't bolt as quickly. So, okay, so let's go ahead and get the soil bag spread out. Where? Oh, those ants are still on my ankles, and that hurts. So we will get the soil bag. I didn't grab a knife, but I did grab the weed puller, so it'll work. It'll open it up. So here we go. We will grab, I'll put you guys in the shade over here so that the camera doesn't get too hot. And yeah, I'll just go ahead and get these bags opened up, spread out, and then, so I'll put you guys over here in the shade because it is very hot and sticky out. Well, I definitely should have tied that up last night because it fell. That's a bummer. I'm gonna tie up these today. So we've got all of our melons tied up in these bags so that when they're ready, they will fall off and not crash to the ground. And that will be much better. So the next part of the maintenance that we've been doing over the last few weeks is I'm going to put cages around all of my determinate fall tomatoes. We've talked about this a couple times, but so I have my indeterminate tomatoes that need tied up and pruned, and they're on a trellising system. And then I have these determinate tomatoes that after I harvest the garlic, I like to do a second crop of fall tomatoes, and they're determinate tomatoes. So they're going to come in all at once, and they're going to come in and be ready for harvest in September. So that gives me a bumper crop of paste tomatoes that I can use to make sauce or anything like that. And so I haven't, it's been so disgustingly humid outside that I haven't really wanted to get out here and put cages around them and do any of the pruning. So this is definitely a very hot day, but it needs to be done and I can't put it off any longer. So I went ahead and have these buildable cages so that you can make them whatever size you need to. So I went ahead and got all of the determinate tomatoes put into these buildable cages, and we actually have 2 beds of these because we had a elephant garlic bed that I talked about and then the hardneck garlic bed as well. So we got both beds of tomatoes with cages put around them, and then we're going to do a little bit of carrot harvesting underneath the indeterminate tomatoes, and that is a bigger project than I had even realized. So these, look at how big that carrot is. That's incredible. I think it goes deeper than my garden bed. So these I sowed really heavily because they were old seed, and then I didn't thin them. And so these have been growing, which is the perfect spot for them, is underneath the indeterminate tomatoes, but they were thick and their leaves were like a foot and a half tall. So I thought this was going to be like a 45-minute adventure in pulling carrots, but it was about 2 hours. And we have all varieties of sizes. We have big ones, we have small ones, and that works out perfectly for us. We're not big carrot eaters as snacking or cooked carrots, but what we do really like is we like broth a lot. And I have found that for my family, the way that we like it is to do onions or shallots and sometimes the green tops of the onions and roasted bones, and then carrots as well. And so I grow basically a year's worth of carrots for broth. So this was a really awesome harvest. And like I said, some of them were big, some of them were small, but it doesn't really matter because all of them are going to go into broth. Well, not all of them, I guess. I do like to shred up a few in 2-cup increments. I like to do shredded carrots. That way, if I need to do like shredded carrots in a soup or a pasta sauce or something like that, I have them ready to go. And if I need to make them more fine than that, I can run them through the food processor for making carrot cake or anything like that. My neighbor really likes carrot cake, so we'll probably make some of that coming up over the winter. But so on this day, I was able to harvest these 2 big giant bowlfuls, and then it was time to wash them up, and that was another probably hour and a half or so of scrubbing the carrots, but it all worked out really well. So we were able to get all the little ones I just scrubbed up and have them drying in this bowl for broth, and then the bigger ones I'm going to run through the food processor to get them ready to go for the freezer. And then here's what it looks like with the bags of the shredded carrots and then also the bags of the whole carrots that I'll just go ahead and pull those out for broth. Okay, so we got all the we got all the carrots picked, and then I let out these by like 1 loop around, which is letting them kind of lean. And in another couple weeks, I'll let out some more. So I'm going through and I'm trimming up the bottom. I'm gonna harvest the tomatoes that are ready to be harvested. And I'm just gonna keep going, pruning. And like you can see that I've let them out, so they need clipped back up to the top. So we're just gonna keep working on it. So I've got some romaine, some slow boat, loose, and tango. Sorry, there's a military helicopter flying. I'm going to go ahead and get them planted underneath the tomatoes. So we got all of the trimming and planting done for both of the tomato beds. And we were able to get the carrots harvested, the lettuce planted, the melons tied up. Pretty good week. Anyway, I want to thank you guys so much for being here with me while we did all of our garden work the last few weeks and month. If you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. We have a whole lot more growing and preserving and fun stuff to do. Can't wait to see you guys next time. Bye, my friend.